In the year 2147, Earth stood as a beacon of hope in the universe. Humans had achieved remarkable things. They built tall cities that touched the sky and developed powerful technology. Among this technology was the Dreadnought, a massive warship that could take on any enemy. It was a symbol of human strength and creativity. Captain Sarah Matthews was in command of the Dreadnought. She was a brave woman known for her sharp mind and fearless heart. Everyone on her crew respected her. They trained hard, working together like a well-oiled machine. The Dreadnought had the latest weapons and shields, making it a formidable force. But what truly made it special was its crew. They were not just soldiers, they were a family. One sunny day, the crew gathered in the ship's command center. Captain Matthews stood before them, her blue eyes sparkling with determination. "We've trained for this moment," she announced, her voice steady. "We are ready to protect our home, but we must stay united. Together we can overcome any challenge." Just as the crew felt empowered, a warning alarm blared through the ship. The screen showed a massive alien fleet approaching Earth. The crew gasped in shock. There were 500,000 warships, far more than anyone had ever seen. They were sleek and menacing, with dark hulls and glowing lights. The aliens believed they could conquer Earth without breaking a sweat. Captain Matthews quickly shifted her focus. "This is a serious threat," she said, "but we are not afraid. We will fight for our planet and our people." She quickly assembled her officers to discuss a plan. In the war room, tension filled the air. Maps of the alien fleet filled the large screen. "They think we are weak," Lieutenant Mark said, clenching his fists. "We can show them how strong we really are." His voice was filled with anger and pride. "Exactly," Captain Matthews agreed. "We will use our knowledge of the terrain to our advantage. We can lead them into a trap." She pointed to different areas on the map, explaining how they could use asteroids and space debris to hide their movements. The crew listened closely, their spirits rising as the plan unfolded. The crew worked tirelessly to prepare for battle. They checked every weapon, calibrated the shields, and ensured the ship was ready for the fight of its life. As they worked, Captain Matthews moved among them, offering words of encouragement. "We are not just a crew," she reminded them. "We are the defenders of Earth. We will stand strong together." That night, as the stars shone brightly in the sky, the crew gathered in the mess hall for a final meal before the battle. Laughter filled the room as they shared stories and memories, reminding each other of their bond. They knew they might not return, but that did not scare them. Instead, it made them more determined. "Whatever happens tomorrow, we fight for each other," one crew member said, raising a glass. "To the Dreadnought! To the Dreadnought!" The crew cheered, their voices echoing through the hall. As dawn broke, the crew took their positions. The Dreadnought glided through space, ready to face the alien fleet. Captain Matthews stood on the bridge, looking at the stars. She felt the weight of responsibility, but also a surge of pride. They were ready. The alien fleet appeared on the radar, a dark wave moving through the stars. "They are here," Matthews announced. "Prepare for battle!" Her heart raced, not from fear, but from the excitement of the challenge ahead. The crew nodded, their faces serious yet determined. They knew this was their moment to show the universe what humanity could do. With a deep breath, Captain Matthews took her seat, her fingers poised over the controls. "Let's show them what we're made of," she said, her voice steady. And with that, the Dreadnought surged forward, ready to defend Earth against overwhelming odds. The storm was gathering, but so was their strength. The Dreadnought moved through the dark void of space like a giant beast, ready to defend its territory. Captain Sarah Matthews stood at the command console, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The crew was tense, but they were ready. The time for action had come. As the alien fleet drew closer, the bridge buzzed with activity. Crew members checked their weapons and systems, making sure everything was perfect. On the main screen, the massive wave of enemy ships grew larger. There were countless alien vessels, all lined up to attack. They were sleek and designed for destruction, unlike anything Earth had ever faced. "Prepare all weapons," Matthews ordered, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "We need to be ready for anything." The crew sprang into action, each member knowing their role and executing it flawlessly. "Target the nearest ships," shouted Lieutenant Mark, her second in command. He was focused, his fingers dancing over the controls. "We can't let them overwhelm us." As the crew readied their weapons, Captain Matthews felt a surge of pride. This was a well-trained crew. They had spent years preparing for this moment, and now it was time to show what they could do. "Fire the laser cannons!" Matthews commanded, and in an instant, brilliant beams of light shot out from the Dreadnought. The lasers hit the nearest alien ships, causing them to explode in a dazzling display of color. Cheers erupted from the crew as they watched the enemy take damage. But the alien fleet was not going to back down easily. They responded with a barrage of missiles that flew toward the Dreadnought. "Brace for impact!" Matthews shouted. The ship shook as the missiles struck, but the Dreadnought's shields held strong. "Damage report!" Matthews called, her heart racing. "Minor damage to the outer hull, but shields are holding," replied an engineer. The crew sighed in relief. They could withstand the initial assault. The alien ships regrouped and began to charge. Matthews saw the enemy trying to surround them. "We can't let them get too close," she said, her mind racing. "Mark, execute the evasive maneuvers we practiced. We need to stay mobile." "Yes, Captain," Mark replied, his hands working the controls with speed and skill. The Dreadnought swerved and dipped, avoiding incoming fire. As they moved, Matthews spotted an opening in the enemy formation. "Now's our chance!" she yelled. "Target that cluster of ships." The crew aimed their weapons, and again, the Dreadnought unleashed a deadly volley of fire. Explosions lit up the dark space, and more enemy ships were destroyed. But the battle was far from over. The alien admiral, watching from his flagship, grew angry. He ordered his ships to regroup and attack with full force. "They will pay for this insolence!" he roared. As the aliens charged again, Matthews felt a surge of adrenaline. She knew they were outnumbered, but she also knew that the Dreadnought had capabilities the aliens had not expected. "Prepare the plasma torpedoes," she ordered, her mind racing with ideas. "Ready to fire, Captain," Mark replied. "Fire!" Matthews commanded. The torpedoes shot from the Dreadnought, hitting several alien ships in one powerful blast. The explosions rocked the enemy fleet, causing confusion and chaos among their ranks. "Keep it up, crew! We're pushing them back!" Matthews shouted, her confidence growing. She could feel the energy in the room. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for victory. The aliens began to retreat, their formation breaking apart. "They're panicking!" Mark exclaimed, a smile spreading across his face. "Let's finish this," Matthews replied, her voice full of fire. "Chase them down!" The Dreadnought surged forward, the crew shouting in excitement as they pressed the advantage. As the battle raged on, Matthews felt a sense of unity and pride. They were more than just a crew. They were a family fighting together against overwhelming odds. With every enemy ship that fell, their spirit grew stronger. Finally, after what felt like hours, the last of the alien ships turned to flee. The Dreadnought had won the first round. The crew erupted in cheers, celebrating their victory. Matthews allowed herself a small smile. They had proven that a single ship could stand against a fleet of 500,000. But deep down, she knew the fight was far from over. As the Dreadnought floated among the debris of defeated ships, Captain Matthews looked out into the endless stars, ready for whatever challenge lay ahead. The storm was still gathering, but now the Dreadnought's might had shown what humanity could achieve. After the battle, the atmosphere aboard the Dreadnought was electric. The crew celebrated their hard-fought victory over the alien fleet. Laughter and cheers filled the command center as they exchanged stories of bravery and quick thinking. Captain Sarah Matthews watched her crew with pride, knowing they had done the impossible. But deep down, she felt a growing unease. This battle might have ended, but the war was far from over. As the celebrations continued, Matthews called for a meeting in the war room. The crew quickly gathered, the joy from earlier replaced by a serious mood. They all understood that while they had won a battle, the aliens would not give up easily. "Listen up, everyone," Matthews began, her voice firm. "We took down a significant number of their ships, but we can't let our guard down. They'll be back, and they will come at us harder than before." Lieutenant Mark nodded, his brow furrowed. "We need to analyze what just happened. Understanding their tactics could give us an edge in the next fight." "Agreed," Matthews replied. "Let's review the battle footage. I want to see how the alien fleet responded to our attacks and what mistakes they made." The crew settled into their seats, focused on the screen displaying scenes from the battle. As the footage played, Matthews pointed out the alien ship's movements. "Notice how they attempted to surround us? They underestimated our firepower and agility." The crew watched closely, taking notes and discussing strategies. Their formations seem to rely heavily on numbers, Mark observed. If we can split their fleet, we might take them out one by one. Good thinking, Matthews replied, feeling encouraged by the ideas flowing from her crew. We can use our knowledge of the terrain again. If we lure them into an asteroid field, they'll have trouble maneuvering. That's when we can strike. The crew agreed, their excitement returning. They spent hours discussing tactics and brainstorming ways to outsmart the alien fleet. The sense of teamwork and camaraderie grew stronger as they prepared for what was to come. But as the crew focused on their plans, the alien admiral was not idle. He was furious after the defeat and swore to destroy the Dreadnought. He ordered a full assessment of the battle, studying the human ship's every move. The aliens, known for their advanced technology and ruthless tactics, began to strategize their revenge. On the Dreadnought, Matthews felt the tension rising with each passing hour. She could sense something brewing in the cosmos. The calm after the storm often came before the fiercest battles. To keep the crew's spirits high, she called for another gathering in the mess hall. As the crew enjoyed a simple meal, Matthews spoke to them about their recent victory. Today, we showed the galaxy what humans are capable of. But we must stay vigilant. Our next fight will be even tougher, she warned, her expression serious. One of the younger crew members, Ensign Amy, spoke up. Do you think they will come for us again? Her eyes were wide with concern. I believe they will, Matthews replied. But we are ready. Together, we will face whatever they throw at us. Remember, we fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone back on Earth. Her words brought a sense of unity to the crew. As the night deepened, alarms suddenly blared throughout the Dreadnought, cutting through the relaxed atmosphere. Red lights flashed, and a voice echoed through the ship. All hands to battle stations. Incoming ships detected! The crew jumped into action, adrenaline pumping through their veins. Matthews rushed to the command center, her mind racing. Mark, what's happening? She demanded. Multiple enemy ships detected. It looks like they've regrouped and are coming at us with full force, Mark reported, his voice steady despite the chaos. Prepare the shields and weapons. We're not backing down, Matthews commanded, her heart pounding. The crew worked quickly, securing their positions and readying the ship for battle. As the Dreadnought powered up, Matthews took a deep breath. This was it. The rising tension filled the air as they awaited the alien fleet's attack. The crew had trained for this moment, but they could feel the weight of the challenge ahead. The massive enemy ships appeared on the radar, dark shapes approaching fast. Matthews gripped the console, her determination hardening. This time we will not just defend. We will strike back with everything we have. As the enemy fleet closed in, the Dreadnought stood ready, a symbol of humanity's courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The stage was set for an epic confrontation, and the crew was prepared to face whatever the universe threw their way. The rising tension was palpable, but so was their resolve. They would fight for Earth and for each other, no matter what the outcome. The alarm blared loudly as the alien fleet closed in on the Dreadnought. Captain Sarah Matthews stood firm at the command console, her mind racing with strategies. She could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. This was it. This was the moment they had been preparing for. Status report, Matthews shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. The crew scrambled to provide updates, fingers flying over controls as they readied the ship for battle. Shields at full power! Weapons primed and ready, Lieutenant Mark reported, his voice steady despite the situation. We have multiple enemy ships approaching, approximately 300 strong. Excellent. Let's show them what we've got, Matthews said, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. She had faith in her crew, they had trained hard for this day, and now they were ready to fight for Earth and for each other. Prepare to engage, Matthews commanded, and the crew took their positions, ready for the fight of their lives. The main screen displayed the dark mass of alien ships, their sinister shapes cutting through the stars like predators stalking their prey. On my mark, fire at will, Matthews said, her voice calm but firm. She felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, knowing that their survival depended on her decisions. As the enemy fleet closed in, the Dreadnought unleashed its weapons. Brilliant beams of light shot from the ship, hitting the first wave of alien vessels. Explosions erupted, lighting up the dark void of space. Cheers erupted from the crew as they scored their first hits. But the aliens quickly regrouped and retaliated. A barrage of missiles soared through the air, heading straight for the Dreadnought. Brace for impact, Matthews shouted, gripping the console tightly. The ship shook as the missiles struck, and the crew held on, determined not to let the aliens break their spirit. "Damage report!" Matthews demanded as the ship trembled. "Minor damage to the starboard side. Shields holding at 70%, an engineer replied, sweat trickling down his brow. "We can take more than this," Matthews shouted. "Keep firing!" As the battle raged on, the Dreadnought maneuvered skillfully among the enemy ships, dodging incoming fire and returning blasts of its own. Each time an alien ship exploded, the crew erupted in cheers, their spirits lifting with every victory. "Let's split their formation," Mark suggested, his eyes focused on the enemy fleet. "If we can break them apart, we can take them out one by one." "Great idea. Follow my lead," Matthews ordered. The Dreadnought veered sharply, heading straight for the heart of the alien fleet. The crew worked together seamlessly, executing maneuvers they had practiced countless times. The Dreadnought plunged into the enemy formation, lasers firing relentlessly. The crew's teamwork was on full display as they communicated and reacted to the rapidly changing battlefield. They were not just a crew, they were a family fighting side by side. But the alien admiral was not finished. He ordered his remaining ships to focus their fire on the Dreadnought. Matthews watched in horror as enemy lasers blazed toward them, illuminating the darkness of space. "Evasive maneuvers!" she shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The ship swerved and dipped, narrowly avoiding several blasts. "Keep an eye on the hull integrity!" Matthews yelled. The crew worked furiously, doing everything they could to keep the Dreadnought intact. Suddenly, a massive alien flagship broke through the chaos, its dark silhouette looming like a predator. Matthews recognized it as the command ship of the fleet. If they could take that ship down, the remaining forces would scatter. "Focus all fire on that flagship," Matthews commanded. "Mark, lead the charge!" "Yes, Captain," Mark responded, his determination clear. The crew fired every weapon they had, and the Dreadnought surged forward, a blazing beacon of hope amidst the darkness. As they approached the flagship, Matthews felt a surge of courage. They were so close to victory. The enemy ship returned fire, but the Dreadnought's shields held strong. With one last effort, Matthews shouted, "Now! Fire everything we have!" The Dreadnought unleashed a furious barrage of energy, and the flagship shuddered under the assault. Explosions lit up the stars as the flagship took hit after hit. The crew's cheers echoed in the command center, fueling their resolve. Finally, with a final thunderous blast, the flagship exploded in a brilliant display of light. The remaining alien ships faltered, their formation breaking apart as panic spread through their ranks. "Victory!" Mark shouted, raising his fists in triumph. The Dreadnought had done it. They had defeated the alien fleet against all odds. But Matthews knew this was just the beginning. They had proven their strength, but the universe was vast, and more challenges awaited them. As the crew celebrated their hard-earned victory, Matthews took a moment to look out into the stars. She felt a deep sense of pride for her crew and for humanity. They had shown the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated, and she was ready for whatever came next. The final push had begun, and they would face the future together, stronger than ever. The aftermath of the battle was a mix of chaos and celebration aboard the Dreadnought. Captain Sarah Matthews stood on the bridge, looking out at the remnants of the defeated alien fleet. Wreckage floated silently in the cold void of space, and the once menacing warships were now just debris. The crew had proven their strength, but they all knew this was not just a victory, it was a turning point for humanity. As the crew worked to assess the damage, Matthews felt a swell of pride. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. Each member of her crew had played a crucial role, and their teamwork had made all the difference. The atmosphere on the ship was electric, with excitement filling the air. "Status report!" Matthews called out, her voice steady amidst the buzz of activity. "Damage control teams are working on the hull. We'll be back to full strength in no time," Lieutenant Mark reported, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Morale is high. The crew is already sharing stories about the battle." "That's good to hear," Matthews replied, a smile creeping onto her face. They deserved to celebrate their victory. As the crew finished their tasks, Matthews decided it was time to gather everyone for a debriefing. They had fought bravely, and now they needed to acknowledge their hard work. She called for a meeting in the main hall where the crew could come together as one. The hall filled with laughter and chatter as the crew entered. Matthews took a moment to appreciate the bond that had formed among them. They were no longer just shipmates, they were family. As she stood before them, she felt a sense of responsibility wash over her. "Listen up, everyone!" Matthews began, her voice firm yet warm. "Today we achieved something incredible. We faced an enemy that outnumbered us and came out on top. Each of you played a vital role in our victory. I am proud of every single one of you." The crew erupted in cheers, their spirits soaring. Matthews continued, "But this battle was only the beginning. The aliens will not forget this defeat, and we must be ready for whatever comes next. Together, we will face new challenges and protect our home." "Captain, what's our next move?" someone asked from the crowd. Matthews considered the question carefully. "We need to regroup and report back to Earth. Our victory must be communicated to our leaders and the rest of humanity. They need to know we can stand against these threats." As the crew cheered, Matthews felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that Earth had always been a symbol of resilience, and their victory would serve as a beacon of hope for all. They had proven that humanity could unite, stand tall, and fight back against those who sought to harm them. The crew began to make plans for their journey back home. They shared stories of their experiences in the battle, laughter echoing in the hall. Matthews felt a sense of joy watching her crew bond over their shared adventure. Each story was filled with excitement and a hint of fear, but they all knew they had conquered their doubts. As the ship prepared for its return to Earth, Matthews took a moment to reflect on how far they had come. Just months ago, they had been a small crew on a large ship, unsure of their abilities. Now they were seasoned warriors, ready to take on anything the universe threw at them. "Captain, we're ready to depart," Mark said, interrupting her thoughts. "Thank you, Mark. Set a course for Earth," Matthews replied, her voice filled with determination. "Let's show them what we've achieved." The Dreadnought powered up and left the debris of the battlefield behind. As they traveled through space, Matthews looked out at the stars, feeling a sense of peace. They were heading home, but their journey was far from over. In the days that followed, the crew worked together to repair the ship and prepare for their return. They were tired but determined, knowing that their victory would inspire others. The bond among them grew stronger, and they became more than just a crew. They became heroes. Finally, as they approached Earth, Matthews felt a wave of excitement wash over her. The blue planet loomed in the distance, vibrant and full of life. She could already imagine the celebrations that awaited them. As the Dreadnought entered the atmosphere, the crew gathered on the bridge, their hearts racing. Matthews could feel the energy in the room, a mix of hope and pride. They had faced the darkness together and emerged into the light. "Prepare for landing," Matthews commanded, her voice filled with confidence. The Dreadnought touched down, and the crew erupted in cheers. They had done the impossible, and now it was time to share their story with the world. As the doors opened, Matthews stepped out, leading her crew into a future filled with promise. They were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united as one. Their victory would echo through the stars, a testament to the strength of humanity. The Dreadnought had not just won a battle, it had forged a path toward a bright future. The galaxy would remember their name, and the crew of the Dreadnought would stand ready to defend it once more.